So when white invades, we've been talking a little bit about different things that black can do, and one of the options is to maybe attach on top. Now, it should be noted that this is not going to result in an equal result for both white and black. It's not going to be technically a Joseki. For that reason, you almost never see black play here in professional games. Black almost always plays here. This is totally doable. It's valid. But this invasion and this cap on top might show why it's more preferable for black to play on the star point.
Right. So the situation looks a little bit symmetrical here in that white wants to try to get this stone out. The obvious choices would be to Hane on either side. It's not really symmetrical because of these stones over here. And so a good thing to think about when you're going to do this is that generally when you're planning to Hane, it's better to Hane in the direction that you don't care about so much first. So we would probably like to get this stone linked up to these over here. And so for that reason, we're going to do sort of a leaning thing. We're going to attempt to go this direction first, and we'll see how that develops. But it'll work out better for white if he Hane's on this side first.
Yeah.
And this threatens to, if black doesn't respond, he can just simply connect up and he'll be out. He's divided black in half, so that's why black needs to respond.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's you can think of this white stone as a sacrifice, as a sacrifice move. It's also important to note that previously, when we had our stone here, there was a potential move here to push.
Right.
We talked about the wedge, which we feel is better. Mm-hmm. But if you wanted to play simple, you could just push. In this situation, that's not possible because there's just not enough room for white to live.
Yeah, white gets... I mean, at this point, even if somehow white did link up or live, it looks pretty pathetic for him.
White's very dead at that point.
Yeah.
So with black's stone here, white is forced to Hane on one side or the other, and you want to Hane on the side that's least important to you. Black will then probably cut.
Right.
Here.
Keep white disconnected.
Keep white.
And so now white goes with the Hane that he really cares about. So he Hane's on this side. That puts black in Atari.
Right. Now, black has a couple of options here. Black can play here and cut again, allowing white to capture. Black can then connect up underneath. And this is bad for black because this move is forced. If black doesn't play there, white gets to separate black in half. And both of these sides now are in trouble. Mm-hmm. But when black does play here, he's playing a necessary move in Gote that is not very good for him because it looks like he's trying to start a ko. As you might know, a ko is this shape exactly, where black will have an opportunity to capture, and then later in the game, white can capture back. But the rule of ko says that when black captures, white can't immediately recapture. White needs to play some move elsewhere on the board that needs to be responded to by black, so that then white can recapture.
Right.
And so the question is, in this situation, what's so big on the board that black would need to respond, or that anybody would need to respond to?
Right.
Where is there a threat? Because remember, to win a ko, you have to play a move that's more important than the ko. Mm-hmm. And it's so open that nothing is threatened, even if white loses this stone.
Right. Who cares?
Who cares? He still has these moves here that can do stuff.
White would be happy to allow that, or to do something else, and it's it doesn't matter. So this, yeah, so this move is pretty lousy for black. This situation, at this point, you remember black had to go here, so it would be white's move. So white could just take the corner, or white could, get a lot of thickness on the outside. Black is managing to barely stay alive and get a few little points, but it's not really even.
And this shape here is called a panuki. There's a proverb that says that a panuki is worth 30 points. And that's not literal, but what that means is that this shape is so strong and flexible that it radiates influence all through the board. And now later in the game, white can play very strongly, can make invasions, and you might not think that something over here, these 4 little stones, can have such a large impact on the rest of the board, like stuff that happens over here. But it really can, depending on the situation, because things tend to run in certain directions. And this shape is so flexible that it's good. It's very, very good for white.
Right. So because of all that,
black would not simply
connect there.
What he might do, and we didn't actually talk about this, he might go underneath. In which case, white would go there. Black can go here, and white can go ahead and capture if need be. And while this isn't as efficient as because white had to spend another move here to make this shape, it's still very good for white. This cut for white no longer works. Notice, I mean, these stones are all connected.
Okay.
However, black's basically on the third and second line and not getting a lot of territory for what he's
yeah. White's getting plenty of influence that way. I mean, it is black's move here, so
the upshot is that it's black's move, and black
can
make invasion moves like this.
Right. But white's gonna.
Yeah. So let's stop here. If this was a typical thing, we can assume that this is the end of the Joseki path, and we can talk about what everybody got.
Right. So we see that white's getting 6 or 8 points over here, and he's getting plenty of influence radiating. I mean, almost from the side through the middle into the board. This, like you mentioned, it's going to help him now because he can be more aggressive. One of the very first videos we did, we talked about how you can play more aggressively when you have friends in other places. And so, for example, ladders that run this way will all be beneficial for white. In addition to the fact that now white can, make moves here and worry about fighting this direction, not worry about having to cover his back, that kind of thing. Yep. So that's how that tends to work. So white gets a lot of influence that way.
Black's alive, but only gets 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8.
Maybe 8?
Yeah, maybe 8 points. There's a potential to make some more by connecting it to the side here. Okay. But overall, this is much better for white. White will probably want to build something along the side here and start to build this center area later in the game. So, the other option is for white to just, or black to just extend.
Okay.
When black extends, white connects.
Right. And now this, at this point, there's a couple of things, but it kind of is going to get complicated from here and get into a fight. I mean, black could go ahead and...
That's a big move.
And for sure take an eye.
Works very well with the
Works
corner.
very well with that. This stone is looking pretty lonely, and this looks like a pretty big area for white. But it's doable.
Yeah. So let's evaluate from here. If this is the way it ends, it's from this point. It's sente for black. So black could. Is that right?
Yeah, it's black.
So yeah, maybe black goes here because if white gets a push, it starts to turn into ladders and nasty things.
Yeah, push is sente because that ladder's that way.
Right. So probably black will want to spend his sente here, and maybe this is a little more even than I originally thought because you've got You've got a really strong shape here. You've got a dead stone, and you've got it working nicely with black's corner. It's a little open in here. This can still be invaded. So that's what black gets. What does white get?
Well, at that point, if you do that, then I guess white does come out with sending, which again he could take a large corner. This stone looks really
Yeah,
useless.
I don't think he even needs to do that. I think he could play on top and kill it off.
But white's definitely going to get some territory out of it, and probably gets a similar type of influence extending up toward his stone. So yeah, it doesn't feel incredibly lopsided.
Yeah. I mean, from our take, I think this looks pretty even overall.